Welcome. Today is Friday, August the 11th, 2023. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, and Real Live, where I, Damon the Agent, come to you and talk about all of the latest real estate trends and any questions that you all may have. So today's segment, we're doing a Q&A where basically, if you have any questions, please post them and I'll get to them. This morning I did an experiment, so I wanted to get some Q&As from people. So I just asked a few random people questions just to see what real estate questions they may have. I asked a few guys and a few ladies, and the ladies did not disappoint. I have all types of questions from them. The fellas did disappoint me though, because I don't have any questions from them. One person was like, I don't have any questions today. Another one said, I'm thinking, and he's been thinking for hours, and I just haven't heard from the other ones. But nevertheless, like I said, the ladies never disappoint. That's why I appreciate and love you all. I thank you all for always being inquisitive and always asking questions like you all do. So I'm going to begin by going through all of the questions and just answer them for you all, just in case others may have the same questions. Okay, the first question that I had was, are clients looking to buy older homes or custom homes? And that is a very, very good question. Here's the thing. They're building so many new homes today out there that you have all types of incentives that are being given from the builders when it pertains to new homes, but clients are still buying older homes as long as most older homes are fixed up in good condition or are renovated. So basically, it's kind of equal on both parts as far as who's buying what. It depends, because some people don't like the fact that homes are being built so quickly, and some people like the older homes because they feel like they're more sturdier and firm, and they have a better foundation, and they also like the uniqueness of some of the older homes. So that normally goes with people's preferences and also with location and where people are actually buying homes. But people are buying all sets of homes, whether it's new homes or older homes. They both are being sold on a continuously basis, and depends on the area. If they're in good condition with the older homes, they're being sold. But with new homes, people like new things. So of course, newer homes are being sold. But sometimes with the older homes, the prices are slightly less than the newer homes. So people sometimes are driven by price also. So that's always personal preference. It just really depends. Okay. The other question was, where do I see the market being in the next 2 years? Steady, slow sales, or growth in sales? That's also a great question. Where do I personally see it? I always like to say the real estate market changes every 3 to 6 months. And because of the way that it shifts, it can shift any which way. Anything can cause a shift in the market, such as the economy. The economy plays a huge factor when it pertains to which way the real estate market goes. That's why if you pay attention, like when it pertains to the interest rate, people look at the interest rate, people look at their finances. So where do I see in the next 2 years? Let's go back 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the interest rate was much lower. Also, 2 years ago, it was a high demand for houses when people, a higher demand than it is now for people who go out there to buy. So where do I see it in 2 years? I really don't like to predict that far out because anything can change. But at the steady rate that we're going, when we're going to have an election, when next year, um, I don't know, to be honest with you. Like I said, I like to look at the next 3 to 6 months. I would say the next 3 to 6 months, if things are the way that they are now, which is steady, things are steady. Even though people are affected by the interest rate, there are people who are still out there purchasing properties, but things are steadily moving out there on all parameters. Okay, let me go to the next question. All right. Somebody said, why the prices of houses aren't coming down, but the interest rate is steadily going up? That is a good question. And here's the reason for that. Because many people are still out there buying despite the interest rate. Like I had previously mentioned on one of my other podcasts, that interest rate fluctuate and you can always refinance. So people are looking at the affordability of the homes that they can get. Because of that, the prices are not going to go down as long as people are still buying. It goes back to the supply and demand rule. If the supply is low and the demand is high, the prices are going to be high. If the demand is low, if the demand is low and the supply is high, the prices are going to go down. So here's the thing: the inventory is also still relatively low when it pertains to buying houses. So because the inventory is relatively low, and then people know that they can refinance somewhere along the line, people are still buying houses. So that is the reason why the prices have not dropped down. People are just like waiting for the prices to go down. Like I just previously mentioned, if the economy is good, prices are not going to fall off. As long as people are still buying, prices are not going to fall off. The way that the prices drop is when people stop buying, or the economy is real bad. These are the things that affect the prices with the housing market. Um, I have a question also about short sales and why could it take more than 30 days for the bank to make the decision? That's an excellent question. And the reason why short sale is a process, even though the word says short sale, the word and definition of short sale is basically when the sellers are shorting the mortgage company, when they're actually selling the property for less than what they owe on the property, or they're selling the property for less than what the bank is saying that they owe, because bank throws in their fees and that nature. And because of that, the mortgage company has a process that they go through. We all know there are plenty of people who are sitting back at a desk and they don't always get to their paperwork as quick. So because of that, they go through certain processes wanting to see the homeowner's personal finances. They review that. They also send out a thing which is called a BPO, which is a broker price opinion, which is similar to an appraisal. They want to see the value of the homes in the area, because the mortgage company could be in Texas, it could be in California, but your house can be in this area in DC. So because they don't know the value, they send out for that. Once they get that, they send it to an in-house investor with the mortgage company to determine whether or not they're going to approve the sale of the property. So let me give you an example. Let's say the homeowner owes $500,000 on the house, but the market in the area saying the houses are only worth $350,000. So that's $150,000 difference. That's plus or minus because of taxes, interest, commission, and all these other fees that are not accumulated yet. So because of that, all of that, what I just said, with them requesting the seller's financing, with them requesting a BPO, and with them sending to the in-house investor to determine whether or not they're going to approve accepting that 350, even though the seller owes 500,000. Now, because of that process, they take a while. They don't move as quickly as a regular. You go out there and purchase a home that normally takes typically 30 days, 45 days in some area. They do not move that quickly. Because of that, the process can take anywhere from 1 to 3 months just for them to come back with a decision. And then once they do come back with a decision, and if they do approve a short sale, you typically have about 30 days to go to settlement once the mortgage company comes back with an approval letter. So that's typically why the banks take more than 30 days. Let me see. I got a lot of questions. Okay, this person wanted me to also talk about how some homes are listed and they don't have pictures. Why are some homes listed and they don't have pictures? Now, that is a very good question, and let me explain. There are several reasons. One is sometimes the properties don't show well, and the listing agents know that. So they'll a lot of times put the picture of the front of the home in hopes that people will go to it. Sometimes another reason is if a tenant is living in the property, and sometimes you have these difficult tenants who don't want people to come in and allegedly take pictures of their items and things of that nature, just basically trying to sabotage the sale of a property. That's why sometimes you don't see pictures online with a house. And a lot of times when people don't see pictures, they don't tend to want to go and waste their time to go even look at the property. That's why it's always best to have pictures of a property, of the inside, to give people an idea what it looks like. Because just like a book, you can be fooled by the cover. You know what I'm saying? Never judge a book by its cover. So that is one thing. Another question is, explain about the bidding war, as in the case with the house we saw in Morningside. Okay, yeah, this has to do with pricing. And I have a client right now who's looking at houses, and every time she see a house that's relatively low, she of course wants to go see that. And the first thing I always tend to try to explain to her is, whenever you see a house in a area that is priced below all of the other houses, and this house looks very, very good, you have to understand the reason it's priced lower is because they want to create a bidding war. The reason why they want to create a bidding war, because of course 9 times out of 10 they're going to get more for that house than if you were to put what the market value is. So a lot of times when that was a seller who actually listened to that agent, because sometimes when me, like even me and other agents, we try to explain to a seller, let's say hypothetically, if a seller said, well, my house is worth 650, and we may say, okay, it might be worth 650, but we might want to do 625. Well, no, I really want to do 700. And then if they put their house on the house for 700 and they're not getting any bids or offer, they sometimes wonder. But here's the thing, though: if they would have listened, they could have got 700 or even close to it. And that's what some of the agents who have done with some of the houses that show well, but they're priced lower than all the other houses, but they show extremely well. That is a marketing strategy in which those people are smart. So that's the reason, because they know they're going to create a bidding war when you price it lower than all of the other houses, but yet the house shows very well. Okay, let me go to the next question. Hold on, I got some questions today. Someone said, can I discuss the different options in purchasing a second home? That's a good question too. Now, this is mainly for homeowners or people who want to purchase an investment property. They want to know what are their options in purchasing a second home. Now, it depends on always that homeowner and also how they purchased the first home. The reason why I say that is because in some cases, a homeowner might have purchased the first home solely by themselves. So in today's way that most mortgage and lenders approve people, it is totally different than it was 15 years ago. And what do I mean by that? Meaning, like 15 years ago, you could approve for the home, and then if you want to approve for a second home, most lenders would approve you without factoring in that first home. Nowadays, they always factor in that first home, because here's what was happening back then. People would get approved for a home, approved for a second home, approved for a third home, and they would allow the other ones to go into foreclosures because they had their dream home. They said, oh, I don't care. I don't care what happened there. I got my dream home. So a lot of lenders started to see that kind of behavior and the domino effects and what was happening. So now when they approve homeowners, they factor in that first home. So the first home either needs to be getting ready to be on the market to be sold or on the market, or it has to be rented out with proof of a valid lease in order to get approved for a full amount. If a person decides that they're going to keep that first home, that most lenders realize that one of the homes, either the first home or the one that they're about to purchase, is going to be an investment property. And because they know that, if you decide to use the same loan structure, and what I mean by that, meaning if you decide to continue to use the conventional loan, let's say you had a conventional loan on the first home and you want to use a conventional loan on the second loan, you're going to have to put 20% down, because Uncle Sam always wants a piece of the pie. So because Uncle Sam wants a piece of the pie, they're going to make you pay for it by putting that down payment. So if you use one loan and use a different loan structure, let's say a conventional for one and FHA for the other, then a lot of times they're going to factor in that first home, but you're not going to always have to put as much down. So when it pertains to your options for that, I will always look at, if you are the only borrower on the first home and the second home, sometimes people become coupled up. They get a partner, they end up getting approved for more for their second home, or they end up taking money out of the first home. Now, if you have equity in your first home and you want to purchase a second home, then you can do that. You can take the money out doing a 1031 exchange. A 1031 exchange is basically when you're buying an investment property, but you're not taxed that money that you're getting for your equity. Because one thing that a lot of people fail to realize is when you sell a house, or the money that you get, it's not all tax free. Uncle Sam wants a piece of everything out here. Unless you're buying it with straight cash, if they can see it and the IRS can see it, guess what? You're getting taxed on it. So with a 1031 exchange, you can purchase that second property without being taxed. And at the same time, though, you can see what type of financing you do, if you're going to do financing, because some people have enough equity that if they take the money out of their primary residential to purchase a second residential, they don't always need to get a loan. So it's always going to depend on your situation. So We can talk more about that because I know this person who sent this, and I'll give her a call just to talk to her because, like I said, I sent out asking people if they had any real estate questions. But that is basically how you purchase a second property. All right, let me go to the next question. Hold on. All right. Someone says, okay. Someone said, what's the minimum credit score to purchase? Okay, the minimum credit score to purchase a home is 640. That is the current minimum score. But here's the thing. There are some lenders that will go down as far as 580. But you're going to have to pay, okay? Anything, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to come out of your pocket with that. They're not just going to approve you at the same and give you the same. You're going to have to pay for that. So it's going to cost you more as far as interest rate is concerned, and it's going to cost you a little bit more out your pocket. But the average is 640s. Most lenders require that your middle score, and that means out of the three bureaus, that means out of TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, they prefer your middle score to be 640 or higher. The higher it is, the better it is for you. But 640 is the minimum score. The second question is how to know what you can afford. Is that by salary? Okay, yes, that is by salary. Here's the thing. They factor in your credit score. Like I said, your minimum credit score has to be 640. Then they also want to look at your annual salary and your debt to income ratio. See, here's the thing. They've realized that a lot of people out here have a lot of debt. They have several cars. Some people, they have several credit cards. They know all of these things plays a factor, and they also know that people still have to live, have a living. You have to be able to eat, pay utilities, put gas in your car, things of that nature. So what they do is all lenders have a formula that they use, and I will always strongly suggest to speak with a preferred and professional lender as far as how you fully get approved. But what they do is they run your credit, and look at your annual income, which you have to provide proof for that. And then they also factor in your debt to income ratio, and they come up with how much you can afford annually. I mean, how much home you can actually afford. Someone said, and this a program I want to know about. They said, what is below market financing? Excellent question. Below market financing is basically when you're financing below the market value, meaning that the house is priced below market value in order to get financed. So that is basically what it is, below market financing. The house is below market value. Okay, I'm going through this. These guys that I know, one said thinking, he's been thinking for hours. The other one said no. Okay. This question right here said, what is the better benefit in purchasing Royal Housing? I think it's because of the 100% finance, but there may be more benefits. Royal Housing has certain benefits, such as, like you mentioned, that the 100% financing, and that's normally through USDA. If you're not familiar with USDA and everything, it's United States Department of Agriculture loan that is given to a lot of residential areas. You have to be approved for that in those specific areas. So because of that, it's always best to look in the area. Now, this person I know lives in the Midwest, so I understand the question where she's coming from. But USDA have loans, and the benefit from that is the fact that it is 100% financing, and that's a great loan product. Like in this particular area that we're in the Upper Marlboro area, Cheltenham, off of 301. It's an area over there that is approved for the USDA loan. So that's a good area. Now, of course, houses are very limited in that area because so many people who knew about that took advantage of it. And when people move out, it's rare. So it doesn't leave that. Let me see. Somebody said, any home buyer programs you informed about? Yes, Dre, that's a guy finally asked another question. Dre, yeah, there are some programs. Now, again, the programs are going to be determined as far as what area in here. Like I said before, in Virginia, they have VHB loan. In Virginia, in DC, they have DC Open Doors. They have EHAP. That's for people who work for the DC government. They have HHAP. Those people who live in DC prefer to use their program. But EHAP and HPAC, is right now they are out of money until October the 1st. And then once they do get the money again on October the 1st, the people who've been put on hold right now are going to be the first ones. So if you're looking to buy in DC, you probably be buying next year. And then in Maryland, they have the MMP program, which is the Maryland Mortgage Program. Also, they have NACA, which is used nationally. So these are some of the programs that are in the area right now. If you want to know specifically to your particular area, like if you're looking to move in Maryland, if you're looking to move in DC or Virginia, just hit me up. I'll let you know. But there are programs out here. But also remember that programs are always contingent upon your income. So if you make over a certain amount, you're not going to qualify for the program. And the reason why that rule has been put in place is because years ago, it was based off a first come, first serve basis. Many people who really needed the program couldn't always get there on time because they had to make babysitting arrangements, or they just couldn't get there because of transportation. And long story short, they would miss out on things. So they had to put in place where the money went to the people that they felt really needed it. So they did it on an income basis now. So that's how normally that goes when it pertains to program. But there are programs out here, and even if you're a first-time home buyer that makes a lot, they still give you credit, to which there is some beneficial and some benefits to it. Okay, another question is, how do you go about having a house built? I am thinking about this. Now, that's a good question. It's also going to be dependent upon how do you go about financing it, and also where is it going to be. You can purchase land, but you have to also make sure that land has been designated for residential. Some people don't seem to understand that some of the property they see out here for sale as land, the areas have not been coded for residential. Some of them have been coded for commercial. Some of them have been coded for agricultural, because some people grow things still in the area, even in this particular area. So you really have to find out what specifically loan you're going to use. They have construction loans that you can actually use to purchase land, and then you can build a house on top of that. It's a process to it. So it's kind of tedious. And I always say it's tedious because it's like a person who's working on their credit. Some people rather pay a credit repair person to do it. Some people will try to go through the process and they'll start, but they'll stop because they don't know all the things to do. It's the same thing with buying a home. If you are one of those people who are very analytical and you don't mind the tedious things, then yes, you can go through that process. You a lot of times can save money when it pertains to building your own home. You just have to find the perfect spot, make sure that it's been zoned for residential, and then you can build your dream home. Let me see what other questions that I have. Okay, more questions. Tax liens. How does it work as far as someone paying off your lien and then able to take your home? That's an excellent question. Now, when it pertains to the tax liens, what you have to take into consideration that even if a homeowner owes taxes on the property, if a mortgage is against that property, 9 times out of 10, the mortgage company is going to take over that property. When it pertains to people who do not owe a mortgage on a property, all you have to do is go to the local bank. I'm sorry, not the bank, your local county court. Okay. In there are always department in which you can go and find out about the tax liens. You can look for it and research it online, but it is much more effective when you go to the local court to find out about the tax lien. So I want to say how to protect your home from title fraud, especially with the elderly. That's an excellent question. First of all, when you are a homeowner, it would be recommended that you always get title insurance. There's always title insurance. There's a homeowner insurance and stuff, in which the lenders prefer you to get the owner's insurance. The title companies can always make sure that you have the proper insurance against your property, because of the fact is, like you said, if things are happening with the elderly, you want to make sure. And then what you have to also factor is, like I was talking to someone yesterday because we were looking at a property, and long story short, it's funny that person asked that question. This week, there have been some things come up. There was one particular property in which one of my clients wanted to make an offer. Now, of course, people put in the listing prefer to use such and such title company. So when I reached out to the listing agent, in the tax record, it had 2 people name on it. It had a married couple. So she texted me and said, only use his name. And I was like, well, it has two people name on it. She was like, well, she did a quick claim deed, and you can see she didn't sign off or anything. And also, he preferred to use this title company. So I spoke to my client. I said, listen, as a buyer, you have the right to choose your own title company. You want your own preferred title company to do the due diligence, because I've seen years ago where a situation occurred like that, where people used the seller's title company. And what ended up happening was they did a renovation and a mechanic lien was thrown against the property. That's when the people was working on it and someone didn't get paid. So they put a lien against the property. In the midst of transferring from the seller to the new buyer, it wasn't done in a certain amount of time, but they did not have the proper insurance on there to protect them. So when they tried to sell the property, it was a big problem because that mechanic lien was against the property. So I will always recommend speaking with a title company. I have a preferred title company that I work with that I would strongly recommend. I have actually two of them that I strongly recommend, but that's one way you can do it. You can speak with a title company to make sure that their house has the proper title insurance on it and everything, and that way you can basically make sure that you're being protected. Some say, what are the pros and cons of using quick purchases companies like We Buy Homes? Pros and cons. Okay, let me take a sip real quick so I can address this. And that was juice, y'all, just so y'all know. I don't drink. If anybody knows me, know I don't drink. I drink juice and water. Okay, here are the pros and cons. The pros is, if you're in a desperate situation and you really need to get rid of your house as quickly as possible and you're hard up for money, they will take it. They will take it like right then and there. They'll hurry up and do it and everything. They always like to advertise, we buy houses cash as is. You don't have to do a real estate commission, The con is most of them are not going to give you market value. Most of them try to focus on a real estate commission as if you're giving the real estate $100,000 or something. In most cases, you're paying a realtor anywhere from 6 to 5%. But let's look at 6% because that's the highest percentage. Let's say a house is priced at $500,000 and you 6%. 6% is what? $30,000, correct? So that means $470 is your net. But in most cases, the companies like that are going to try to get your house for way less, well, under $400,000. So instead of you selling it for $500,000, they're going to try to get it $400,000 or less, in which the difference is always going to be more than what you would have ever paid a realtor. And it's always going to be to the fact is you would have netted, and 9 times out of 10, a homeowner would net more money selling their house with a realtor, because a lot of these companies tend to act like they're the only one that's going to buy their house for cash as is. That's how they act. So they throw this out there, and then what ends up happening is people find out later on that they end up losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. I remember getting a phone call from a lady about a little over a year ago, and she was looking at a house I had on the market. So I started asking her question, how are you going to finance it? She was like, oh, I'm selling my house. I said, oh, you're selling your house? I said, okay. You're using the cash from your house? She said, yeah, but we got to go to settlement. I said, so I started talking to her. Come to find out, somebody came around, knocked on her door in DC, offered her like $5,000 in cash for her to sign right then and there. She sold her house for over $200,000 less to those people than she would if she would have used a realtor. So the pros and cons is, if you're desperate, your house is going into foreclosure next week, yes, okay, they are very beneficial as far as doing that. The con is you most likely are not going to get as much money as you could if you went through a realtor. Exclude the realtor commission, because the reason why they throw the realtor commission is because they're trying to deflect and take the attention off of them, because they're the ones who are really taking more. They're trying to buy it for more of a difference than you're going to ever pay in a realtor commission. Someone said, if your home is heading to foreclosure and you file bankruptcy, can you still sell your home while in bankruptcy? Here's the thing. You can. You actually can. Now, when it pertains to buying, that's different. But if your home is in foreclosure and you do the bankruptcy to stop the foreclosure sale date, because that's actually what you're doing. See, the bankruptcy slows down the process. It doesn't stop it, because what you have to understand, just like you went to file for bankruptcy, these mortgage companies have attorneys too. They have a whole building full of attorneys or a whole floor full of attorneys. So just because you file for bankruptcy is not going to stop the foreclosure, but it will slow things down. So yes, you still can sell your house if you file for bankruptcy. All right, let me see what other questions I have. So I want to say, can you purchase a home through government auctions for less than $1,000? Most likely, no. That sounds like you trying to get a car. You can't even get a car for less than $1,000. A lot of times when you go through auctions, let me explain how auctions work, and especially on the real estate side. You may see a house that say you might see a listing that say $400,000, and all the houses in that area are selling for $750,000 or more. What you fail to realize, that's the starting bid. That is the starting bid. And they know for a fact that most of the time that when you're going to an auction, they always require you to put 10% down, and you have to put it down in cash, cashier's check, or money order. No checks. 10% down before you can even do the bidding process in most cases. Because they don't just want people coming in trying to bid and they don't really have no money. So if the house is $400,000, 10% would be what, $40,000? And that's the starting bid. And then when you get finished, they'll cut the check or mail you the check or whatever. But in most auctions, when it pertains to houses and stuff, in this particular area, most of them auctions, that is the starting bid. You're not going to get any house for $1,000 or less. You can't even rent for $1,000 or less. Someone said, I was told by a lender he could get me qualified for a house with 580 credit score. Is it better for me to have at least 620? And like that goes back to what I was mentioning before. There are some lenders out here who said that they can actually approve people down to 580, but that's going to cost you more money. Your interest rate is going to be higher than normal, and it's going to cost you more money down because they are putting you in a loan and stuff. So you're not going to pay the typical thing. It's like, let me use a car for an example. If you have very, very, very bad credit with a car, a lot of times they're not going to accept you putting zero down. They want you to put more money down, and they're going to give you a higher interest rate when you buy a car. So when it pertains to that, please keep in mind that these things the same when it pertains to a house. Like, of course, the higher your credit score, the lower your interest rate. Now, because it is a requirement by the lending laws that 640 be the minimum credit score, if they go on below it, that's like them making adjustments to accommodate you. Somebody's going to have to pay, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be you. It's not going to be them. So anything that sounds too good to be true usually is. So when I say that, I mean basically, okay, if 640 is the minimum score and someone say 580, yeah, they can help you, but it's going to cost you money. You know, same thing when I mentioned about the houses being priced less than lower than everything else, but it looks very good. Yeah, it's good, but please don't think that if the houses are selling for 500,000 in the area and you see it priced at 425, please don't think there are not other people who are looking at that same house. Please don't think that you can make an offer for that list price and you're going to win. So you have to go in there with the mindset that if these other houses are selling for 500,000, they got this list for 425. What's wrong? It's nothing wrong. They want to create a bidding war. So what you have to do is say, well, dang, have you been approved for at least 500,000 or more? Because that's most likely what it's going to cost you, because they know people are out there doing their research. See, with all the information that they provide today on the internet, people do their research and know. So just please also keep that in mind. So let me go through and see if I have any more questions. I appreciate all these questions that I've received, especially from the ladies. The guys disappointed me, besides Andre asking me that question, but the guys that I text today, I ain't getting nothing. My man's still thinking, though. He told me he's thinking. He's still thinking. I ain't heard nothing from him yet. Hold on. Let me see if I have any more questions. Want to make sure I address everything from everyone. I love these Q&As, y'all, so always keep them coming. All right. I'm going to. Okay. Making sure I got all the questions. What this said? Hold on. I think I got another one. When your client looking for a house below. Okay, I got another one. Someone said, can you find any houses that below the list price? I think I know what they mean. So basically what it is can you find any houses below the regular list price in it? Yes, but here's what you also have to keep in mind, people. You have to come with something when you're looking for something, meaning a regular loan doesn't always win these bids. And the reason why I say that is because you have so many investors out there who have cash, who use hard money loans. So a lot of times they can outbid the regular consumer. The regular consumer is going to use a FHA loan, a conventional loan, a VA loan, and depending on the house, a jumbo loan. Um, because of that, just going to depend on what you're looking for, where you're looking at, what you're coming with, how much your down payment, what loan product you're using, what's your credit score. All these things plays a factor. So it's kind of hard to say and pinpoint for each individual because it's like your own personal DNA. And your DNA is different from your parents' DNA, even though they made you. And the same thing pertains to your financial DNA. Your DNA is different from your spouse DNA or your children's DNA. Everyone's DNA is different. Someone say, where are the best property far as value in the DMV? I'm trying to move back uptown DC soon. Okay, that's a great question. And where's the best value? The best value for properties in this area, in my opinion, is all of them. But when you're talking about pricing for the house, what and do you get more house for your money? I would say in this particular area, you're talking about Charles County. You're talking about Prince William County. You're talking about Frederick County. You're talking about Howard and Baltimore County and some parts of Anne Arundel County. Those are the counties where you get more house for your money. Meaning, for example, we're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. DC is the highest of them all, and you get less. Growing up, Dre, we grew up in DC uptown. Growing up in DC, I remember when I was looking for a house, like my first house, and I was in DC and we was looking in DC. And one of the things that bothered me was I wanted a place to park because I was tired of DC government and all the tickets I was getting for not moving my car on the days that the street cleaners were supposed to come, but the street cleaners never showed up. But when I would come outside, I would always have a ticket on my car. So I was very frustrated. And because of that, I wanted to find a place where I had a driveway. That's always been one of my preferences. And I was like, wherever I move, I'm going to always have a place to park. So DC, you're paying for convenience. You're paying for it because you're in the city, metro accessible, the shops and everything, similar to like if you're in New York City, you're paying for convenience in the city. So they're going to charge a little more because you know why? Because so many people work in the city, they know that they can get away with it and stuff. So at the same time, though, when you pertains to the value, as far as value, depends on what's value to you. Do you view convenience as value? Do you view as having a garage as value? That's what some people do. Do you view having a yard as value? Do you don't care about the yard? Because if you don't care about the yard, like in DC, you don't care about parking, you care more about convenience and accessibility, then there's certain spots in DC. So if you're going to look in DC, of course, you're talking about Northeast, Southeast. Those are the areas where the houses are much cheaper than they are in uptown DC where we're from. I just sold a house in a couple of houses in DC Northwest that needed a lot of work. One was 700 and something thousand. You take 700 something thousand and go out into Maryland, you'll get you a nice single family home with the garage and everything. So it's just a whole lot. So what I'm saying to you is basically, we'll have to talk as far as what's value to you, because depending on what value is to you, I can direct you and redirect you as far as in the area. Because again, if you're going to be in uptown DC, being close to DC, you might going to have to go out to Silver Spring, Maryland, which is right across the DC line in certain parts of Silver Spring. So it just really depends. You can go to Tacoma Park and go to Hyattsville, all those areas right outside of upper Northwest. So we can always talk about it. But I appreciate your questions, Andre, with those questions. So let me check my list to see if I have any more Questions? Okay, yes, I have another question. Someone said, what paperwork is required in order to get a mortgage approval as an entrepreneur? That's a great question. There are many entrepreneurs out there who, for those who don't know, the approval process is totally different for an entrepreneur who is a 1099 employee versus a person who works for someone who gets a W 2, because lenders tend to look at that totally different. Even though you may have entrepreneurs who may get paid slightly higher in some cases than some people with W 2, the banks look at it as they feel as though it's not steady income. So, with that being said, the paperwork that's normally required, normally nowadays you can do everything online with mortgage company. So the paperwork would just be you filling out a process for a loan. Now here's the thing: the loan products vary for entrepreneurs. They're very different. They used to have a loan called stated loan income, which they don't have anymore. But at the same time, they have something very similar. I will always strongly suggest to speak to a local lender, because these products vary depending on your area that you're looking to purchase a home. Speak with a local lender. I can always direct you to one, regardless of where you're at, because I work with lenders all across the United States. The other question to this was how to financially / mentally prepare yourself for success before reaching out to a realtor. Now, here's the thing: you can financially and mentally prepare yourselves by doing your due diligence. And that is, for one, pull your own credit scores. People always come to me and say, I ask them, what's your credit score? And they always say, I don't know. It be it be found me as far as people not knowing their credit scores, because here's the thing: people who have good credit scores know their credit score. Trust and believe, people who got 700 above know their credit score. I know people, what's your credit? Oh, my 825. What? Yeah, I keep up with my credit score. People who know their credit scores are putting themselves in a good position financially, because anything can pop up on your credit report. Something from years ago can pop up on your credit report. So, knowing your own credit scores, I would strongly suggest that you yourself pull your own credit reports. And I'm gonna put up here, and I put up here before, the 3 credit bureaus to use to call. Here they go. I just put it up there: Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. When you yourself pull your own credit report, it counts as a soft inquiry. And when it counts as a soft inquiry, it does not affect your credit score, because you are the owner of your credit scores. If you allow someone else to pull your credit report, such as a lender, a realtor, which realtors aren't supposed to be pulling, they're supposed to refer you to a lender. But let's say you give them your information, they give it to a lender, and you allow them, it's going to count as a hard inquiry, which is going to affect your credit scores. So it's always better to pull your own reports. You can call those 3 credit bureaus that I just put up there right there, request your credit reports with your credit score. That is one way to financially prepare yourself before reaching out to a realtor. Also, mentally preparing yourself is knowing what you want. Know what kind of house you want, what area you want to be in, how many bedrooms. These things will help to alleviate the stress that could become involved in the buying process and the housing process, because it's not always what you see on TV, people. You understand? I know TV makes things look sweet. They make all relationships look sweet, but some of y'all are in relationship right now going through hell, having problems all the time. But if you look on TV, they make it seem like relationships are so simple. And it's the same thing pertaining to buying and selling a house. They make everything seem like it's so simple. It's not always so simple. Sometimes it can be a little complicated. That's why professional real estate agents such as myself can help smooth the transaction out for you. But at the same time, to mentally prepare yourself is to know where you want to be at, what kind of house you want, what are you specifically looking for, and then also write down questions to ask the realtor. Just like you all are giving me this Q&A that I'm asking, ask the realtors questions. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm here to answer any and all. But if you're somewhere in another state and you're dealing with a realtor, make sure you have questions to ask them up front. So when you first speak to them, you can ask them a lot of questions and stuff. So I'm just saying, a lot of times people like myself who have a lot of experience, because I've been in this game for 18 years, I can answer these questions right here. People who are inexperienced, they're going to tell you they got to get back to you. That's how a lot of people are going to be But as long as they get back to you with the right answer, that's what really matters. But at the same time, having your questions in line, knowing what you want, having your money in line, that definitely helps. Even though there are programs out here to assist people, like I mentioned before, everyone doesn't qualify for program. So if you don't qualify for program, how are you going to finance your down payment and closing costs? And let me answer that question as I get close to wrapping everything up. I got another question on here, but then I'm gonna wrap things up. But down payment is separate from closing costs. So I want you all to fully understand that. Down payment is a percentage you put down with the loan that is mandatory, because they want to make sure that people who are buying home, that they're going to pay. Like when you don't put nothing in something, you don't tend to take care of it the same. If somebody gave you a car, you're not going to take care of that car the same way that you would if you had to go buy that car with your hard-earned money. And the same thing when it pertains to these houses. They make you put down payment because they want to make sure that the buyers are going to take care of this house and going to pay the balance. The closing cost is separate. That's title fees, that's lender fees, those taxes. Those are things that have to be paid, you know what I'm saying, when you go to settlement. So here's the thing, down payment is separate. Like I said, the FHA has a 3.5% minimum down payment. That's minimum. Conventional have nowadays is 5% going on up. At one point, it was 10% when you purchased a home. Now they have some that's 5%. So the standard conventional is 10%. So you have 10% with conventional loans, 3.5% with FA loan, VA loan, because they are affiliated with the military. They don't put anything down because the government tries to look out for them and to try to take care of them. So if you're pretty young, you want to get into the military service, hey, they have a lot of great benefits, and using the VA loan is one of them. So please understand, down payment is a cost that is separate from closing costs. So you're going to have to pay down payment and closing costs once you do purchase a home. So if you can save up money, that will help to mentally make things easier for you. If you cannot save up money, I would strongly suggest you to look into the programs in your specific areas to see if you qualify and to see when you can begin the process, because it's very helpful. And for throughout the whole United States, if you go to NACA.com, which is NACA.com, they finance everywhere. I have a representative at NACA here in the DC area. I can always redirect you to her. She's fantastic. She can help any and everyone in the whole United States. And I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and I have a business affiliate with realtors in every state. So I can connect people with people everywhere. And understand in life, sometimes it's the connections you have that determine how far and where you go in life. I'm a great resource, people, so use me if you need me, because I'm here. And that goes for everyone. Okay, another question is, in DC, you're paying for the convenience, easy access to everything. That's what I desire, Brock. Okay, Dre. I mean, I can definitely help you. You know what I'm saying? I can definitely help you when it pertains to being in DC. So if you don't mind paying for the convenience of DC, I don't mind helping you out. So we can talk. We can definitely talk. So let me check real quick to see if anyone else has any questions. If you have any questions, get them in, because it's getting close to 1 p.m. And let's see if I answered all the questions. Okay. Hold on. Let me see. It's actually throwing here in your joint. Hold. Let me see what this. Hold on. Okay. All right. Let me see if I got any more questions on here. I want to see if I got any more questions before I end. And again, I thank each and every one of you for your questions. Let me see. I was hearing myself. I was over here looking. All right. I think that's the last of my questions. So let me close out. I'm going to leave this number right here for those people who want to reach out to the 3 credit bureaus to call and get your report with your credit scores. Hopefully, you all can check it out. All right, I'm gonna reach out to you, Dre, in a little while so we can talk more. Again, that's my strawberry and banana juice. For those who I drink juice, I love juice. I love mango juice, pineapple juice, strawberry and banana. But here, let me see. Okay. So here's the thing, y'all. Like I said, let me leave this. Did I leave it up there? Hold on. The number for the 3 credit bureaus are right there. For those of you who may have any questions about reaching out to 3 credit bureaus to get your credit report and credit scores, please give them a call. All you have to do is follow the prompts. It'll take you to where you need to go, get you your information. I thank you all for asking me all of these wonderful, great questions. I'm going to have some more people come on. People were very in tune last week and excited about when I had a lender on. She was very informative in far as answering questions. I'm going to have some more people come back on like I used to do last year. But I'll keep you posted. Let me see. Someone said, thank you. I appreciate that, Tammy. Again, if you all have any questions pertaining to real estate, or if you all need a resource when it pertains to anyone, lenders, plumbers, movers, CPA, I have them all, lawyers. So just let me know. I can refer you to someone to help you. Like I said, we all need each other, just like we saw that unfortunate incident over the weekend, the Montgomery brawl. You saw it was strength and unity. It was good when we came together. If we came together more often, accepting tragedies like that, we'll be so much further in life. We will be so much prosperous. We don't even understand. We are actually detrimental to our own self. We cut off our nose to spite our face. You know, we all have greatness in us. We're all great. You know, the only thing that I had a question about when that Montgomery brawl took place was that they were all black where they had jumped in. And I really doubt that, to be honest with you. But it seems like when situations come like that, you know, we come together, but we should always stick together. So I just say that to say, people, love yourself. You know what I'm saying? Love the people around you, especially those who look out for you, those who care for you. And you know, because actions speak louder than words. You know what I'm saying? Love is an action, not just a word. I want to thank each and every one of you again for all of the questions that I have. And before I get off, I want to make sure that I've answered every question before I get off. All right. All right. So yes, so I thank you all for joining me as always. I appreciate you. Please, please, please follow me on all social media platforms. They should be listed below. I'm trying to get on TikTok as far as going live on there. I need 1,000 people on there. I'm at 600 and something. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. My hashtag is all of them is Damon the Agent. Hash DAMONTHEAGENT. Damon the Agent. That's also my website, Damon the Agent. You can also always visit me at DamonTheAgent.com. If you have any questions, concerns, or anything, please reach out. I'm here for you. My number always is right there. You can always call or text me about anything real estate related. I appreciate you all. I pray that you all have a great weekend. And guess what, y'all? Football season is almost here. It's a preseason game tonight. So I want to thank you all again for coming out and joining me as always. And I shall see you all next week. Have a great weekend.